Today I'm going for a quick ride up to San Antonio de Areco, a small agricultural town about 100 kilometers northwest of Buenos Aires. I didn't leave until about 1:30 in the afternoon actually, which is not really a good idea because I usually prefer early starts, say about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that kind of thing. But anyway, hit the road, it was rather warm, lovely day. I started the ride just north of Pilar because really there's no point filming coming out of town. Anyway, on the right, what you're going to see is one of these hotels, but it's not a hotel as you and I know it. This one's called the Camberland Dazzler Hotel, and it's even got its own special turning exit off the motorway, which you can go to for a bit of, shall we say, romantic diversions. It's not the sort of place that you'd book into, for a few nights or something. Well, you might want to. The nice thing about traveling outside Buenos Aires is that many of the tolls are free of charge to bikers. So they've got special lanes which you can nip through, and you don't have to pay, which is rather nice. It's not so much the paying that is a bit of a pain in the neck. It's the stopping, the taking off the gloves, finding the money, and all that really. But yes, outside Buenos Aires it seems to be more biker friendly. And how nice it is to get out on the open road as well. This is a road that used to be single carriageway, in other words, just two lanes. And when the Macri government came in about 4 years ago, they resurrected many of the projects that the previous Peronist government, had either started and just got built a few yards of motorway, or had embezzled the money, and the whole project, was abandoned. And so anyway, this is now dual carriageway all the way from Buenos Aires up to San Antonio. There's a lot more to finish, but as you can see, it's an excellent road. It really is, and getting from A to B is much simpler. And this is one of my favourite routes out of the city, I must admit. I've done it several times, and San Antonio is a nice quiet little town to get to. As I say, if I'd left earlier, I would have arrived there, say for lunchtime, and grabbed what is called a choripan, which is a chorizo in a bread roll, either with chimichurri or some other sauce, which is lovely and sets you up for the rest of the day, depending on how many you eat, of course. And another nice thing I like about leaving early in the morning is, if you leave even earlier, let's say about 6 in the morning or just about dawn, one of my favourite things is to carry on for, let's say, get on the bike, don't stop for about 100 kilometres or so, and then have that first coffee. And that is so welcome. It's a really nice feeling. I do like these tree-lined avenues, very nice. And if you can find a shady spot, when the sun's a bit lower, let's say, it's very pleasant indeed. And as you can see, the bike's going well. I've mounted the GoPro on my chest this time, just to get an idea of what it's like to actually ride a bike. I have put it on the handlebar before, but you don't really get a very immersive feeling that way. I'm also going to experiment by putting it on my helmet so that when I move my head, obviously, the camera does as well. And, just one thing, I've still got that cold, by the way, so if I sound a little bit hoarse, or sniff a little bit. I'll try not to. It's because of that. Here's another toll, and again, luckily, it's biker friendly. You just have to keep an eye open for the gap on the far right, and make sure you go through it fairly slowly. And the chap in the cabin will open it up and let you through, which is great. I usually stop here just to stretch my legs a little bit. As I say, it's not all that far, 100 kilometers, but at this point, actually, my right leg was starting to get a little bit numb, so always a good time to stretch the legs, I think. Ooh. My right leg's gone numb. This is what it looks like in the countryside, finally. Well, this is very nice. Nice to get out of the city, I must admit. Bike's doing pretty well, touch wood. This road is one hell of a lot better now that they've made it into dual carriageway. It really is. It used to take forever before. Anyway, let's go to San Antonio. To be honest with you, I'm more of a country boy, having lived most of my life in the UK, in the country, and living in a suburb is something of a change for me. So being out in the countryside and seeing the wide open spaces is a real luxury, to be honest. And here in the province of Buenos Aires, it's completely flat. There are no hills or mountains. You can find them further south, sort of isolated hills and mountains, but generally speaking, it's very flat indeed. And when you see a slight incline, it's a bit of a luxury, actually. I remember when I rode the bike up to Salta in the northwest of the country, it took a long time to reach any hills, several hundred kilometers in fact. So yeah, and round about here, this is where where the new work, so to speak, on this road has come to an end, and a little further back is where the new work deviates into a bypass around San Antonio de Areco, the town we're heading for at the moment. You can probably just see that blue sign that we just passed, which is a sign in dedication to what they call the Malvinas Islands, which is of course the Falklands, and they are dotted around the country at various places in sort of homage to the sailors who the sailors and soldiers that lost their lives during that awful war. So it's not something I tend to discuss with many Argentines because it's still very, very controversial. as I said earlier, if I'd left a bit sooner, I'd definitely have stopped in San Antonio and driven into the town itself, and grabbed a bite to eat, and had a look at the river, and shown you a little bit more about the town. But time was pressing, and I didn't leave till about 2 in the afternoon. 1:30, 2 in the afternoon. So really, which is a rather silly time to leave, actually. But I just did it on the spur of the moment. So here we are. So I just thought I'd fill up with petrol, and then hit the road back. Let's fill her up with petrol. This bike hasn't got a fuel gauge, so I have to rattle it around a little bit and see how much is in there. And it's always a good idea to fill up just in case. Stray dogs everywhere. ¡Qué calor!
Está complicado.
Complicado. Gracias.
140.
Muy bien.
60, gracias.
Gracias. Hasta luego. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think I'll have water this time. Water's more expensive than Coke. Amazing. Hola. Agua, por favor. ¿Ese? No, gracias. 62 entonces. 62. 60. Y 2. Gracias. Gracias.
¿Vasito, sorbete?
No, no, gracias.
Nada.
Nada. ¿Hace calor afuera?
Hace calor, ¿no?
Sí.
Yo tengo frío porque tengo el coso encima del aire.
Ah, bueno.
¿Viste? Bolsa de acá.
Fresquito adentro. Chao. Lovely and cold. See that?
shower right now, so I might pass on that. These are quite clever, these saddlebags. Stay totally waterproof.
Petrol here is about 50 pesos a litre, which I suppose is just under $1. Let's say 75 cents at today's exchange rate, but you never quite know what it's going to be tomorrow. And I think one of the things about living in this country is you have to get used to the inflation, devaluation of the peso, and if you see something, grab it, which is why I'm always filling up with petrol, because and also of course take plenty of cash, because even further out in the countryside there are many places that don't accept credit or debit cards, so or there'll be a sign on the shop window saying the machine isn't working, which is something I came across on a frequent basis when I rode up to Salta. This is really what I enjoy doing, out in the countryside on these tree-lined avenues, hardly any traffic whatsoever, in comparison to what my previous videos have shown in the city and even in the suburbs, as far out as Pilar. It's a lovely way to travel, and I'm not going particularly fast. Oh, these are gauchos, by the way. You probably just saw them there. No, I'm not going particularly fast. There's a place further up that sells sort of like country cheese, bread, homemade products, and that kind of thing, which I'm hoping is still open. I just pulled in here for a quick breather, and was coming out, and this army officer just across there very nicely saluted me, which was a very nice gesture, I thought. He's in a unit called the Gendarmeria, which is like a sort of paramilitary force that tends to protect borders and that kind of thing. They're neither army nor police, but they wear army fatigues and that kind of thing, and they do take over a lot of traffic duties, as well. But generally speaking, they tend to step in when there's trouble, if you know what I mean, like violent protests or that kind of thing. And in this country, they are very wary of using military force, or even paramilitary force for that matter, in any circumstances, because of the history of the country's military dictatorships over the years, and bearing in mind that the last military dictatorship from 1976 to 1983 was very brutal. Ah yes, here we are. We're just coming up to that area that I mentioned earlier, which is hopefully still around and selling homemade products, and there's still a sign there, so we're going to see if they still sell anything. Yes, although they've still got the signs up, it doesn't look very hopeful. I can't really move. Yeah, I should have moved myself to the right, but no, there was nobody there, and it was closed down. So I can only assume that now that this has become a dual carriageway, that they've closed for business, which is a real shame, actually. So hopefully we'll find something further along. Yeah, see those 3 Harleys? It's 4 of them. Yeah, they make a lovely sound. 5 of them, but they're a funny lot. The Harley lot. They really are. They never wave to you. So, anyway, here we've arrived at La Alemana, which is a roadside establishment selling country products. Oh, there's a few more Harleys. They are lovely bikes, I must admit, and I wouldn't mind one myself one day if I were to win the lottery or work a bit harder. They do make a lovely noise, don't they? That sound. Very nice indeed. Anyway, we're going to try. Yeah, we're going to try our luck in
the German place.
The German place.
¿Cómo le va?
Ah, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo le va?
Bien.
¿Hay queso para,
¿Eh?
para comprar?
¿Queso?
¿Queso?
Sí,
De campo, ¿no?
Acá, sí, acá tengo.
Ah. Oh, this is nice.
Tenés así.
Ah.
Tenés estos chiquitos saborizados que son a la pimienta. Este es al orégano. Estos dos son al morrón o tenés normales. Salen 2.40 cada uno. Y si no tenés el clásico, es así también. Pará. Si no tenés estos pedazos así, este es de campo. También, ese es casero de campo.
¿Y cuál es lo más fuerte? ¿O más...?
Prueba este.
A ver.
Este es más fuerte que ese. Este es suave.
¿Y estos?
Estos son picantitos. Este es a la pimienta, este es al orégano, saborizado al orégano, y estos son al morrón. Tenés distintos gustos. 2.50 cada uno, perdón. Estos pesan 500 gramos, 550, depende.
Y 240
250 pesos cada uno, 250. Al orégano. Este es al orégano, este es a la pimienta. ¿Ves los granos de pimienta?
Ah, sí.
Este tiene los granos de pimienta igual que este. Y esto, que se ve así, ¿ves? Anaranjado, ¿lo ves? Estos son el morrón.
Ah, ok.
Saborizado al morrón.
Bueno, me parece que a mi mujer le gusta orégano, entonces...
Orégano.
Uno de estos, por
Llevas uno
favor.
de estos.
¿Este es pan de campo?
Pan de campo casero, buenísimo. El pan está fresco, mirá, tantealo.
Ah, sí.
No, el pan está fresco. Mirá que se me rompió la máquina del papel.
Ajá.
Me volví loco porque no la pude traer hoy. Me tengo que comprar una nueva.
¿Y con el nuevo camino hay menos o más?
No, menos por el guardarray.
Ah,
Por el guardarray que me pusieron me traba mucho.
sí.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
¿De dónde es usted?
De Inglaterra.
¿De Inglaterra? Ah,
Sí.
usted viene de Brighton, ¿de dónde?
Oh, you speak English too?
Ah. Yo ahora estoy divorciándome, pero my ex-wife era teacher
Oh, teacher,
de
right.
inglés y ella estuvo viviendo en Inglaterra 3 años.
Ah,
Mi ex-mujer, digamos.
well. Hay mucha gente que habla inglés en
sí.
Argentina.
Mi hijo habla un montón de inglés, es chico, tiene 15 años, pero ya sabe un montón de inglés. Y ahora quiere estudiar ingeniero electromecánico.
Ah, sí.
Sí.
Bueno, es muy útil hablar diferentes idiomas, ¿no?
¿Usted está viviendo acá en Argentina o está de paso?
No, yo vivo ahí en Olivos, en Buenos
¿En
Aires.
Olivos?
Sí, sí.
Oh, San Isidro.
Ah, sí.
San Isidro.
Ah. Mi mujer es argentina. Perfecto.
2.50.
Gracias.
Bueno,
Bueno, siempre estoy, la cosa es que siempre cuando, hace años que estoy en la moto haciendo
Claro.
ese tramo, y y siempre paso por aquí y en la vuelta no tengo tiempo, pero esta vez...
Sí. Tenemos salames también, ¿ves? También tengo traído salames caseros.
Bueno, qué lindo, la
Y
próxima vez.
Mira, te voy a dar para que pruebes este.
Mm.
Este es el común. Este es el clásico de campo, no es fuerte.
Ah,
es
bien.
más suave que este, pero este es el queso de campo. El que se llaman queso de campo.
Muy rico. Mucho mejor que el queso en el supermercado.
Sí, sí. Y esto es todo natural.
Nada que ver. Bueno, señor, muy amable
Bueno,
y mucho gusto.
bye bye, see you.
Bye bye. See you. You could stop here for lunch, really, and have a jolly pan. Here we are. Nice bit of trees. Get this stowed away. In my fancy new saddlebags. See how we get out of this place.
I suppose now would be a good time to talk about what kind of clothing to wear in hot countries. I'm a great believer in at-gat, all the gear all of the time, but I must admit there are times when you're riding around when it's 36, 37 or even hotter in Argentina when, I mean, you're literally melting, and it's very tempting just to throw on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and hope for the best. I've got to be honest, it's not something I ever do nowadays, or perhaps if I'm nipping to the shops around the corner, yes, but not when I'm out on the on the long highways and motorways and everything. Besides, I do feel safer when I'm well wrapped up and protected in all the gear, as it were, and it just makes me feel safer, I suppose. Yeah, I take my gloves off from time to time if it's if it's really, really hot. So it's personal choice, I suppose. And of course, the other thing is how do you condense a sort of 4 or 5 hour day trip, into the space of about 5 or 10 minutes. I was tempted to make this video into about 7 or 8 minutes and just speed things up, but I don't suppose that way you truly appreciate the the journey itself. So I've managed to bring it down to about half an hour from several hours, and I hope it's not too long. This is if you like, the final approach into Buenos Aires from the northwest, and it obviously starts to get very built up, although this is a Sunday and so it's not too busy, but later on a Sunday everybody's coming back from the country, so you have to time it just right. Anyway, until the next time, I hope you enjoyed the video and a slice of Argentina.